podcast. I'm your host, Shelbie. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Jaclyn Moore of Big Island Grown. Today's episode is brought to you by RMR Legacy Smalls, available in California and Washington and more states to come. Jaclyn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's such a great opportunity to be here and connect with you and your audience. Thank you.
Great. So I want to start at the beginning and ask, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh, man. Growing up, I grew up on the East Coast, specifically New York and Queens. And growing up, I really appreciated and enjoyed just fashion and, with FIT and Parsons there. When I grew up, I actually aspired to kind of dive down my creative side version of myself. But the reality of making sure that, being self-sustaining and understanding that I needed to navigate through and have a profession that I knew I could bank on, at least right away, I decided to go into pharmacy. And it's been wonderfully rewarding and has allowed a version of myself and the connection with patients and the appreciation, even for what I'm doing here now in cannabis. It really laid that foundation, and it's really the connection with people and kind of serving in that aspect that I've derived the most fulfillment from. So there you go.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you answered what inspired you to get into cannabis. So that was during your time in the pharmacy?
Yeah, so I went to pharmacy school in upstate New York, Albany College of Pharmacy, graduated with a doctor of pharmacy, one of the first classes out of that school to do so. And it has been such an incredible journey. One of the things that I really loved in pharmacy school was learning about, and at the time they talked about complementary and alternative medicine, but it was actually the part that I really resonated with the most. And I realized not only through the journey of school, but obviously the reality of saying, okay, you've graduated, you have this degree. Now it is time to kind of dive into that industry and be the professional that you've been, training through school to become. But there's always been this part that is valued and appreciated and really resonated with plant-based therapeutics. And that really was one of the inspiring parts about, and really the segue of getting into the cannabis industry. Familiar with cannabis early on, but really rediscovered it as a professional. And it has been such a Pandora's box of just opening up and really getting down to the scientific part of it and understanding the basis for why it works and how it works. And regardless of why somebody wants to consume or chooses to consume, there is this underlying therapeutic and medicinal benefit that we all, experience because we have an endocannabinoid system. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go back. You said you had an early experience with cannabis. Please go talk about that. What was your first time trying weed like?
I don't know if it was anything remarkable. It's, early 15, 16, 17, and high school and really after that didn't consume for years and years and years. And like I said, then we discovered it as a professional, this other version inside of cannabis. The one thing that I have really grown to appreciate is the culture, the cannabis culture and community that it inspires, and it transcends any demographic, right? It's like it goes everybody of all walks of life somehow like hooey around the plant and just like honor it in a way that I have not seen or experienced with pretty much anything else. So yeah, that's definitely one aspect of this that I love. But early on, I don't know that it was anything descriptive. Certainly not as sophisticated as it is now with the terpene expressions and the flavor profiles and everything, the different formulations that you have. It's just like such a different experience. But yeah, early on, definitely consumed, but I don't know that it was anything to write home about.
Well, I'm glad you were able to refrain from being too much of a stoner, and then you were able to go through school and get all the certification that you needed to do what you do now. So that's good. Because me, I became a stoner and then I was like, no, fuck school. And then I just started working in the cannabis industry and working. But I do envy those who have certificates in cannabis and science and medicine now. So that's awesome. Thank you.
No
So
problem.
what brought you to Big Island Grown and how did you get into that company?
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. It's like what's happening on Big Island, period. Then you have Big Island Grown, you have the culture here, the community here, and then added to that is this other layer of like cannabis community. And so the one thing growing up on the East Coast, I've been here now for about 18 years, little over 18 years now. And when we talk about Big Island Grown, even though I wasn't born and raised here, I can tell you I feel and I love it like I was born and raised here. Like my spirit is 100% Big Island Grown, you know? So this is something that you embrace as like a lifestyle, and you come here to really understand and kind of align and integrate yourself with what's happening here. And it's this awareness and appreciation for like, you know, just the elements. So segue off, I live completely off grid. So I've been out here for about 18 years now, 13 of those years completely off grid. Never in a million years would I think that I'd be living like that. But the sense and appreciation that you have for just the rain when you're living on catchment, you know, just the sense that you have an awareness of just all of these things that put you in touch with what it means to really live sustainably. And so Big Island Grown, a lot of that awareness is also so much a part of what we do here. So it's an awareness for the land that we operate on, the community that we operate in, the people that we bring together, how we're elevating each other, including those outside of Big Island Grown that are part of the community as farmers, as artists, you know, as other creatives. I mean, it's incredible in that way. And so I was immediately drawn to being here. And then Big Island Grown started, I guess it was in 2015 during the application process. Going through that process and being part of the vision and building of, you know, of the company from the ground up has been incredibly rewarding.
Go. Sorry, I lost connection for a second.
Okay. Usually it's on my side, so I'm sorry about if it's
Off the grid life.
off the grid life. Yes. Yeah. So it laid the foundation for an appreciation and awareness of what it means to be on Big Island, and then how that really feeds itself into what we're doing as a brand and as a company. And, you know, understanding the land that we operate on and the history here and honoring that, you know, understanding people in the community and what we could do to elevate them, because we are operating on the most remote island chain in the Pacific, right? So sustainability is not just a tagline here. It is genuinely a way of life, okay? Because everything costs more. You have to be able to work together to sustain a quality and really fruitful life here.
That's amazing. I don't know if you went over, like, did you meet, were you one of the founders of the company?
Yeah, so yeah, I did touch upon that. So I started during the application phase. I had two young ones at home. I mean, Brooke wasn't even 2, and then Sophie was not even 9 months when I started the application process with the company, and it was part of building the vision and seeing where this could go. But my understanding and awareness then during the application phase was more clinical, I would say. It was more from a compliance pharmacy standpoint of how to handle a controlled substance. And when there was no structure here and we were kind of developing it, and you're trying to understand how you're going to approach the provision and, you know, manufacturing, dispensing of something that is being acknowledged finally as a medicine, what goes into that from a regulatory standpoint, and how do you demonstrate that you have the awareness of what this means, not only to the community, but from a regulatory standpoint, like what hoops do we need to jump through, and how do we demonstrate to you that we have that awareness that it is still a controlled substance, and have to handle it with a level of responsibility. So that was the approach during that time of the application phase. And then after startup, we were able to really focus on and dig into the brand, right? So you have the company and then you have the brand. And then the brand was born out of just the love and passion for the plant and the people attached to it, and the fact that it is such a tight community, and so many of our employees are also patients and caregivers, so they have the awareness and care to along the various points of the supply chain to handle it with the respect that it deserves, because the end consumer could be their auntie, could be their neighbor, it could be them, so a lot of this goes into it. And I would say that's really the foundation of the brand, is focusing on providing as many of these like quality touch points along a patient's journey, and doing everything we need to do to level up on a quality standpoint, given the fact that we're operating in the most sophisticated legacy market in the entire state. And I could go into the history of just cannabis here on the Big Island specifically, courtesy of archives and local historian who's done a tremendous job just keeping all of these articles circulating for us. But yeah, it's been a wonderful ride so far.
That's amazing. So my next question is, what's different between now and then? If you can speak a little bit on that.
The one thing that's been consistent is the level of unpredictability. It's been, anything, right? You can never rest on what you did yesterday, because there's going to be something that gets thrown at you today from a business standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint, from a, in any way, these are the hurdles that we've become very fluent and really doing a good job jumping on a regular basis. And that's part of the excitement, I think, of still being here. There's something that draws you to that, because these challenges become achievements, right? And so once you start doing it and you're just hitting it, you develop more momentum and confidence that like you're ready to just take it on. But what's different then and now? Let's break that down. So from a regulatory standpoint and a legislative standpoint, Hawaii State was one of the first states to pass a medical program through the legislature back in 2000. Fast forward about 15 years when they came out with the dispensary, the laws for the dispensary system. So people here for such a long period of time, even outside of the medical program, like this has been around for such an incredibly long time here as part of just traditional Hawaiian la'au lapa'au medicine. Cannabis was part of that regimen in many ways, and so people have become very self-sufficient, right? Patients have become very self-sufficient. They're sophisticated home medicine makers, and so one of the things that has changed in certain ways is now that you have access to dispensaries, it's really such a we take it very serious to make sure that we are providing as many different options as possible as one of two operators, and especially because people don't have to come in. It's everywhere, right? And it's something that they can easily access outside of the dispensary system. But from a legislative standpoint, there's been very little movement. Fast forward to 2024. So when we start looking at adult use and some kind of reasonable growth attached to the program, what we're seeing is the opposite. We're seeing a decline in active patient numbers, right? We're seeing a contracting medical market. This session, the one bill that was put in to extend the caregiver program died. So now we have the caregiver program sunsetting in December 2024. So there's a lot of different changes here. And I think one of the big differences from the beginning to now is not that you ever lose that sense of optimism. I think you always have to have that, right? Because why are you in it? You know that, and which is why I love the discussions about federal rescheduling, right? Because it's a disruptor. Something's going to change. We don't know where it's going to land, but something's going to happen, right? And it's something that's needed, at least here. But oh man, what was that? I forgot. Sorry. I lost it. So it'll come back.
So there's less patients.
There's less patients, yes. it's
Are
a
they
control.
growing their own? And then the
Well,
caretaker thing is sunsetting to like
yeah,
combat
so
that to get
caregiver
more
program is
patients.
sunsetting. Thank you. Caregiver program is sunsetting. It's about like the commitment to the program, right? So where do we stand as a medical program? So something's got to give, and that's one of the things that's different. There was certainly a level of optimism for the medical program when we started. Not that that goes away, but I think the rumblings or the what's happening with federal rescheduling is certainly something to look forward to, as far as it's going to precipitate some action. We don't know what it is, but it's going to be something, right? And it's needed. That's where we stand here in the state now.
Thank you. I love that you said precipitate. It's very Hawaii. What do you think are factors that will determine whether a cannabis company will be successful or not? I know Hawaii can't have a lot of licenses, but you're passionate about the community. So if you can talk about that, what has made you guys successful?
I think being fine, given all the dynamics, being really financially healthy, you can't do anything else unless your foundation is really strong. So it's having, the discipline and understanding and being able to maneuver through the complexities of what's being thrown at you. I think having a very cohesive team, invest in curating and building and cultivating a team that not only loves their job, but really enjoys working together. And this is where you have, we make music together, right? And you have being vertically integrated, we go from seed to sale. But when you have that pumping at every spot along the supply chain, so to speak, I mean, it is just really amazing to watch. I think so. The mindfulness and awareness and focus on building the team, a successful team, and then obviously being able to maneuver through being very financially disciplined is definitely another part of that.
Thank you. Okay, so Big Island Grow, and you guys have a great facility. Can you talk about the facility for a little bit and what makes that special?
Absolutely. So when we were developing the approach to writing the application, what are we going to do if we get this license? How are we going to build? What's the right approach? There's a lot of history, and we have team members that have been here working this piece of land for many, many years. So let me just I want to answer that question, but I want to go back for a second because there was a lot of care and thought put into this decision. Prior to this piece of land started sugarcane times, right? So the Hamakua Coast on the Big Island where we are was dominated by sugarcane. Okay, it was the dominant industry here. When the sugarcane started to kind of close up shop, this piece of property became one of the largest private banana farms in North America. They also sold and grew tomatoes. We have folks that are working with us now that have been here since when it was the banana farm. Okay, so part of that is the information and understanding and experience as a traditional farming from a traditional farming aspect of how to grow here in this specific microclimate on the Big Island. So Big Island has about 13 microclimates, right? And so growing here is different than going one gulch over and growing in Ninole, for example. Okay, there's variances and it's nuanced. So there's a lot of history and information and experience about growing here. So when we looked at it, and then we looked at the lab testing standards, which as a pharmacist, I really appreciate the analytics of having product tested. We understood that the only way to do it and to ensure that we were growing as clean as we possibly could was to build from the ground up. So we have a complete environmentally controlled building that's engineered for the environment and where we are here in this particular microclimate, as well as having the foresight of including design elements that would meet federal standards down the line. I got you, your back row.
Okay, we're back.
Yes.
I got you. Okay, where were we? We were talking about the facility and the sugar cane, and then I
Yes.
lost it. I don't know.
Okay. No worries. No worries. So sugarcane then became the largest private banana farm in North America, where they also grew tomatoes. But the point of me talking about the history here is that understanding and awareness from a traditional farming aspect and agricultural experience aspect on this piece of land, understanding what it would take to grow clean cannabis that would meet the state lab standards at the time, which at the time was some of the strongest in the country, right? So we said, how are we going to do this with the understanding that we have about growing on this piece of property? And so that's where we went ahead and designed something. It's built to last. We designed with federal standards in mind, even though that was way down the line when we started building, but knowing at some point something was going to give. And we wanted something that was going to be here in this community, that wouldn't be, we would be able to rise to the occasion, when federal standards actually were implemented. In addition to that, with the lab standards, it was about controlling the environment, not allowing pests and pathogens to actually get in. And so we have a completely environmentally controlled 35,000 square foot indoor grow. In addition to, we've added some greenhouses to our production campus.
Hey. I'm so
Hey, Shelby.
sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, I hear you. I got you.
Okay. So we ended with lab standards. The building is engineered for the environment, completely environmentally controlled, so that we could pass any lab standards and federal standards that would be implemented.
That's beautiful. And I think it's awesome. It's hydro. You get the water from the river.
So interesting about that, just to clarify, hydroelectric has fed our building for many, many years. Currently right now, we don't have the hydro input. Hydroelectric, I don't know, bringing it back to like the land and the property that we're on. Sugarcane times, they used to harvest the sugarcane and use this flume system to bring it down to the boats on the coast. And so those were repurposed for hydroelectric. So again, it's just about utilizing the resources that are here in place. And so for many years, that definitely contributed and offset the energy, the energy that we were consuming. Because being here, especially on the Big Island in the state, it's one of the highest energy costs that you can find anywhere. So it helped a lot.
Yeah.
But now we use solar. We have solar panels, about 700 on the indoor facility on the outside of the building. And so that definitely helps as well.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I want to try it so bad. So, okay, so that's the facility. And then you have 3 retail locations, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we
Where
have
are they?
Waimea, Kona, and Hilo. They're about an hour between each other, in between. So anyone along the coast or anywhere on the island should be able to access one of our dispensaries within an hour's drive. The only exception to that, I would say, is the south side of the island, Ka'u area. We are able to open up 4. Right now we have 3 open. So we are looking at opening up a 4th location at some point.
Okay. And then what other products do you offer besides flour?
We have a lot of offerings. The latest one is pre-rolls. They finally just allowed us to sell pre-rolls. So hallelujah for that. That's been years in the making, by the way. We were able to sell flour since the beginning, but there was such a strong anti-smoking campaign at a state level that we were not and still not able to technically sell paraphernalia. And we weren't able to sell pre-rolls, but I think the legislature this session was very helpful. The legislators very helpful in and advocating for patient needs. And so they push through pre-rolls, which is great. We have hydrocarbon C1D1, so we're the only state certified hydrocarbon lab. So we do a wide variety of concentrates, live resin, cartridges, live rosin. We have a beautiful solventless lab. So we really try to build this up the best way we can. We have a great edibles line where we use a lot of locally sourced ingredients. In the last 12 months, we've purchased over 4,000 pounds of local ingredients from local farmers, specifically for our gummies. It's all fresh fruit, hand pressed, wonderfully crafted and formulated gummy lines. There's a universal appreciation for like fresh fruit flavors. And so that's really hitting the mark in many ways with patients. They love the gummies. The other thing we focus on is Coco Leca, which is chocolate, Hawaiian cacao and chocolate, right? So we got hyper localized with this ingredient and actually have sourced cacao from the Big Island that we use for our chocolate bar. So in every way that we can, we are utilizing as many local ingredients for any one of our formulations as possible. We do a mushroom, eight mushroom blend from Alama Mushrooms here. We use that both in our capsules and also infused in our chocolate line. That's been wonderful. People absolutely love it. Lion's mane, turkey tail, a lot of the beneficial, mushroom blend. So we're stoked about that. So we have, and it's really about just the diversity of flavors with the terpenes. And this is where, the team does an incredible job pheno hunting and really focusing on local genetics and working with local breeders. Because one of the things about strains, it's like, I know that there's a lot of strains circulating. Of course, we have strains or seeds, from breeders on the mainland, but I do think that there's this like careful balance or, this balance of having and hitting that like local genetics, that nostalgic flavor and effect profile that so many people here really appreciate, balanced with those like terpene profiles that people have really come to love. So yeah, I think the team does an incredible job, pheno hunting and finding the unicorns, these unicorns that they're always in search of.
That's amazing. Everything sounds so yummy and just crafted with like such care and passion. Oh my God. I've only been to Oahu and Maui, but I definitely need to visit Big Island. And so if you're a visitor and you want to try and you want to go to the retail store, but you need a medical card, right?
You do need a medical card. They have a reciprocity program. The truth is so many states not having a medical program. I guess it's easy enough to jump online, maybe in California and get a medical card, but it does require a patient to plan and register with the state here. They're doing a great job with the turnover times for reciprocity patients. And so I've seen it, sometimes within 48 hours. But I would say within 5 days, people are getting their card. So it does require a little bit of planning, but yes, we love sharing what we're doing with people, just even off island, folks from Maui coming over, folks from Kauai and Oahu coming over, it's just so different on each island. And then of course, sharing with people that are coming from the mainland.
So back to that, yeah, if I'm going from the mainland, if I plan ahead and I do that process 5 days prior, it's a temporary license, right?
Correct. It's good for 60 days. And I think you might be able to renew, but I think typically people are spending 7 to 10 days here, and then, a little bit of time on each island. So it should be sufficient enough.
That's awesome. I love that that's in place. What advice do you have for other women looking to do what you do?
What a great question. You just got to dig in and carve your path. I mean, coming into this, it's been this marriage of like compliance and cannabis culture. When I was telling you, like, I came back into it as a professional after so many years. And there's so many different voices in the room, and just understanding and surrounding yourself with people that are as passionate and are engaged with it as you are, I think is incredibly important. Having that layer of support, especially when you're a female and you are, you know, balancing motherhood and working and you know, it's almost, this is like an extended family, to be honest with you, for me. And I know so many other people, our kids are growing up together. There's just like this whole other layer to it that's just incredibly beautiful. You know, the kids now understanding like, and talk, you know, cannabinoids, and it's normalizing in a way that is responsible and still educational, and it's not, doesn't have any kind of stigma. And, you know, so the only advice I would give is just dig in, find and carve your path. There's going to be a lot of voices in the room, a lot of egos in the room, which has been one of the things to really acclimate to and kind of navigate through, because you know it's the cannabis industry and it's been largely dominated, you know, by men. But don't give up, right? You got to just have that resiliency, and just like, if you love it, you're in it. Right. And it's hard to be scared away if you care about it that much. So just carve your own path. Be you.
Thank you. I know you touched on it. Well, the things you said, you know, like you're seeing the kids growing up and these terms aren't foreign anymore. They're talking about cannabinoids. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
You know what I absolutely love, that I feel that so fulfilled with, is watching the growth of people that I've worked side by side with for years. You know, the folks when we started, they started entry level. These are folks that are now, they've earned their stripes. They've been through, you know, all of it so far with us, and they're rising to the occasion of directorship and even more. And just watching them master their craft. And because we're vertical, it's like there's so much potential and growth within so many various parts of the operation. I just love watching people mature and finding that version of themselves that they didn't even know existed, you know, and loving it. And it's almost like it's like watching someone, you know, grow up, right? And so professionally, watching that confidence and people hone their craft and really master it is something that I genuinely enjoy. I love it.
Is there anyone on the team in particular that you want to shout out, or?
Oh, where do I start? Okay. I got to tell you, from any cross section of this company, you can find excellence. And I mean that. And I couldn't be more proud. Some of these folks, it's the first time they've had like a legitimate job. Some of these folks, you know, they've been in black market, they're coming over. Some of it, we have mother-son duos. We have a lot of family within the company that are working together. That to me is like the hallmark of something that we're doing right. When you start getting other family members in, because it is something that it's a really good environment and it's great. So if I had to shout anyone out, it's hard to say any one person. They are all incredible. Just went through the cultivation rooms yesterday. I have to tell you, they are doing such a phenomenal job. I mean, just the care, even with cloning, and the health of the roots, and you could tell when they're happy and they're healthy, and it's just been so incredible. So production center, retail, admin, can't forget about admin, because they are the backbone of what we do. We have so many people, it's hard to say one, but I value and appreciate them all.
Love it. Thank you very much. Do you have a favorite cannabis event?
808 Day. So every year, at least for the last 3 years, we've really focused on curating an event called 808 Day, right? So it's about celebrating all things Hawaii lifestyle, with incorporating cannabis as far as like the lifestyle approach, the culture, the community. Behind me, I have some of our cultivating art series. So we have an event where you have live painting, you have incredible artists, local vendors and crafts. Marketing does an incredible job doing this, and the rest of the team just kind of stepping up and making it happen. We do it all in-house. We don't push this outside for anyone to event plan for us. We are doing so much of this on our own because we want to just highlight everything attached to Big Island Grown. So I would say 808 Day. It's phenomenal. You should come out. It's in August 8th.
Thank you. Okay, 808 day, everyone. Tap in. Who are some brands or products that you think everyone should know about?
Brands
It could
or
be your own.
okay, brands or products. So locally here, I really think that a lot of the operators are digging in and now working with like, local, it doesn't even matter, chefs, ingredients, everyone's focused on elevating what's in the community. I really like that. I love, of course, I love what we're doing here. I think it's incredibly special. And so I think our live resin cartridges are phenomenal. The gummy line is just phenomenal. So much of what we're doing is even with the flour, the local genetics, it's great. So yeah, I've had to pick one. I'd say the gummies though. Gummy line is incredible.
I know, I saw you guys have a lot of great flavors that resonate to the island. Acai,
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any strains that really stand out to you?
Yes. Kimbo Kush has been one of the heaviest hitting strains that we've had as far as, effects. The profile is fantastic, very consistent. I would say a heavy indica, tests really well. But of course, we know that potency is just one part of it. The terpene profile in it is fantastic. Now that we have sun and soil and indoor, so we have the greenhouse, sun and soil, and then indoor we use cocoa, right? So it's a different approach to the same strains, and watching and actually tasting the differences between the two has been incredible. So Kimbo on the indica side, I'd say our Maui girl, from a local breeder on Maui, has been a really wonderful addition. People love it on the sativa side. So I would go with those two, but some of the cultivars coming down the pipeline right now are so fantastic. I mean, Jerry Pinefield has been incredible. Mimosa has been just a wonderful terpene addition to the menu. I'm just thinking of some of the ones that are coming down the pipe now. Crostata, all good stuff.
Hell yeah. Stay tuned for those, everyone. So as a professional, what do you really want to be known for?
To me, it's all about elevating the people and the community that I love. I want to be known for as a compassionate, employer, someone who allows people to grow and mature in an industry that they love. There are not too many options here from a professional standpoint on the island. I think there has to be some level of space for people to mature. And I can tell you that has already paid back in spades, because the level of loyalty that inspires with your workforce and within your workforce, you could never compensate enough for. So that's one of the things that I really care about. And if anything, I'd be stoked to be known for that.
I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
How do you approach each workday in terms of preparation, organization, execution? What's a typical workday for you? Like, do you have a morning, have certain things that you do to execute at your best?
You just put on your roller skates and your helmet every morning, and you're just ready to take on whatever comes your way. I think it's different. Legislative session is a whole different level of preparation and engagement. That's something that I also love participating in as the legislative chair of the trade association here. Trying to push access for all at a state level has been wonderful. One of the things that we did as a group and as a company had a field day where we're getting so many of our team members engaged and putting a professional face to the industry that lawmakers have not seen before, right? So they have this vision and they pigeonhole, sometimes people pigeonhole based on what they think they know about the industry. And to have, team members show up, speak from their heart what's important to them and why they love doing this and being here and working within the industry, and then showing this professional face to it. That's just been fantastic. What is a normal day? You know, put on your skates and your helmet on your roller skates. Be mentally prepared for whatever comes, and, you know, find pockets of time to, you know, take care of what you need to take care of to balance out your life.
Yeah, I think that's super important. So you guys are doing a great job doing that. And I know, like, going back to like what makes a company successful, it's exactly what you just said, just showing up and being there and representing the cannabis community in a professional way, or like, you know, we can have a level.
Yeah, in any way that is works, right? In any way that's you. And so that's the one thing here, though, that is incredible. It's like everyone's like rising to the occasion in such a way that I'm like, yeah, dude, this is just like it. They're not allowing themselves to be pigeonholed. You know what I mean? They're transforming that perception, and that's something that I think is really incredible.
That's awesome that you do that. I didn't know. Going back to Big Island Grown and the art that you have behind you, I just want to talk about that. Like, how else do you guys incorporate art? That excites
So
me.
we do cultivating art series, and where we have local artists pair up their rendition. So this is Golden Lemons by Danielle Zirk. She's a North Shore surfer, mom, artist. It's one of my favorite pieces that's been done. Kimbo Kush is our director of logistics. Will is absolutely so incredibly talented. That's his work. And so we do that. We also work with musicians, curate events where we can highlight, you know, local musicians and artists. But it's kind of like in every way we can, we try to just, you know, incorporate the creative side of it, because it's also something that keeps people engaged.
Totally. So everyone check out the website. You can see more strains and art. I loved it when I saw everyone. I love the White Widow one. Okay, so we're gonna go into some rapid fire questions. What moment or experience was absolutely instrumental in getting you into cannabis?
I would say dispensing way too many opiates as a pharmacist in a community that I practiced for 10 years plus, watching that cycle happen where somebody gets a prescription for the first time and then they're still 7 years later on it trying to get off of it, and then just seeing that whole cycle play out. That was definitely a defining moment where I understood. I'm a big proponent of informed consent. So you do your best to educate and go through everything. And then at the end of the day, you know, people make the choices that are best for them. But that was definitely a defining moment for me where I just knew that there had to be something else. And cannabis is just a wonderful example of something that should be easily accessible and easier to acquire, other than waiting 10 minutes at a pharmacy to get an opiate prescription filled. So until that balance gets evened out, at least here at a state level, there's definitely more work to do, but that's what I would say.
Thank you. What music do you vibe out to, and what are your top 3 artists?
Oh man, okay, so growing up in New York, early 90s hip hop is something that just resonates. It's just so much a part of just growing up in that time period there. So that's something that is always a go-to. To be honest with you, I'm into listening to these frequencies now. So like my ambient sound now, I'm just like exploring that whole thing. So I wish I could dive down the different artists. I mean, my girls are now listening to, my father has them listening to like everyone from Led Zeppelin to, they just know way too many artists. I'm like, how do you even know this anymore? So I'm listening to what they want to listen to now. And it's kind of across the board, but yeah. You know who I love? You know who my top one is right now? Drew Daniels. Please check him out. He is our director of marketing. He is a phenomenal artist. One of my favorites. When you hear him live, he's just so incredible. Please check him out. He's my favorite. My girls are singing his songs now, Uncle Drew's songs. He's so good.
Uncle Drew, is he like tapped into the frequencies, knows about 432 hertz and all that?
I got to explore the science part of it. I'm just like now diving in, but he, yeah, Drew is awesome. He keeps it very real. He's got that perfect voice, and he keeps it like localized too. It's about his experiences, and like even, he had he was affected by the lava flow years ago. Literally the lava took over his property. So there's so many like incredible aspects to and levels and depths to his music that I appreciate.
I was going to ask about that. Thanks for reminding me real quick. The lava flow. I know that I read something was on an active volcano. Has Big Island grown been affected by lava at all?
We have, as far as our team members have. We've had multiple people that have lost their homes or have had to move, lost property due to the lava flows years ago. Absolutely, down in the Puna side, Kapoho. Yeah, it's definitely something that has affected the team.
Crazy that you guys
It
do
is.
that.
It is pretty crazy. Luckily, it doesn't happen. Well, I mean, there's still active lava flow, right? We are operating on an active volcano, but that one in particular was gnarly, and yeah, people were affected.
Wow.
I know.
What are some hidden gems on Big Island?
Oh man, there's so many. I've never appreciated or been into Korean and Vietnamese food as much as I have like also living here. So like that's kind of my thing now. Like there's so many nice and awesome like hole in the wall Vietnamese places that I'm really enjoying. I want to say that Big Island is definitely leveling up their food truck game. And when you go to like the Friday night market, you have people going out there. So the one thing about being here is obviously you want to support all of these like local restaurants, right? Because they need that. I'm talking about the non-chain restaurants. So yeah, I love Korean, Vietnamese right now. That's my thing. I would say Lambs in Hilo is just a go-to.
Thank you. So what is your favorite method of consumption?
I love cartridges now. It's easy, it's simple, it's discreet, it's flavorful. It's great. Yeah,
So
cartridges.
just a quick part. Do you need anything else for your smoke sesh? Any certain drinks or certain munchies?
I gotta be honest. Because we're not adult use now, I don't have a medical card because I have firearms, because I own firearms. So I have to indulge when I'm not in state, if that makes any sense. So when I go, and that's the thing, right? So it's hard because I'm aware, we have so many connoisseurs on the team. But I gotta say that you have to ask me that question after adult use passes, and then I'll give you the scoop.
Okay, you got it. Well, thank you for letting me know that. That's important. If you have your card, you cannot own a gun.
Yep.
Tell us a moment when you felt like a higher woman, and what would be your definition of a higher woman?
It's interesting. I honestly think it's like with my girls. I work a lot and trying to balance everything out and feeling like they recognize and like how hard that I am working and have some kind of standard for themselves of like, if you're passionate about something and you love something, it's okay to go down this path. And it doesn't mean that you don't love the other things in your life. It's just that balance, right? And so I think when they validate that I'm doing right by them, even giving the craziness of what we're dealing with on the business side, I feel like a higher woman.
Thank you. I love it. All right. What do people need to know about what you have coming up? What Big Island has coming up? Anything else you want to leave us with?
we're always doing something new. Okay. It's just highly creative. It's always something. You got to just stay engaged, check out our Instagram, follow us. I mean, there's always just something coming down the pipeline, highly resourceful, highly creative. So that's what I would say. Just coming down the pipeline. Let's just see what happens this next session with adult use. Let's see what happens with federal rescheduling, see where we land on it. But I can tell you that the brand is very vibrant and always looking to do that next thing.
And you're all set. You're a pharmacist, so you're good. Thank you so much, Jaclyn. How can we follow you and everything? Stay tuned with you. How can we follow Big Island Grown? What's the website, the handles, all the good stuff?
Okay, so I would say please check out our website, bigislandgrown.com. Everything of how to follow us and everything is right on the website. We have a very active Instagram, and I know Drew is I need to know what the Instagram is because we just updated it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Check out the website.
I think it was big dot island grown.
Yes, it was something.
Or no, it's big dot island grown Hawaii.
It'll be on the website, I promise.
Thank you so much. So tap in with Big Island Grown, tap in with Respect My Region, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Stay tuned next week for another fabulous episode of RMR. Thank you again, Jaclyn. Off the grid live. Sorry about our connection, our technical difficulties, but this was so wonderful.
Thank you so
again.
much.
Have
really
a great
appreciate
day.
it. You too. Aloha.